Hey everybody, I am here with another talking head style video. I've said it before, but if you're new here, I kind of like to make content based off what I'm watching and what I'm gravitating towards. And right now, I still watch some Let's Plays and some Let's Players, but right now, my big kick are these talking head style videos. Less people have been able to go out game hunting, and they're doing more of these reflecting on what it means to be a gamer and growing up and all that good stuff. And someone who I think does it better than almost anybody is PeteDorr's, and he's back to uploading regular content, and almost everyone is some reflection or rankings or something to that effect. Recently he put out his Why Am I a Collector? And again, for the younger audience or people who weren't around using YouTube frequently, back in the day, YouTube allowed a video response option where if your one of your favorite YouTubers made a video, you could actually respond to it with another video. They did away with that at some point. I don't know exactly when, but I still remember those. I still like that idea. So this is another video response to one of Pete's videos, and that's games or genres that you don't play as much as you used to. He stuck mostly to genres, though he would list specific games. So that's what we're gonna do, because I watched that video and I was thinking, well, I haven't really changed that much as a gamer. In fact, people would argue I still play Super Mario 64 and Pokemon, so how much of me could really have changed? But then I realized that there was this whole teenager phase almost of playing completely different games. And I thought that was really interesting, and so that's what we're going to reflect on. And if we're still, if the video hasn't drug on or gone on too long, we'll talk about what I play more so now, though I have a Let's Play channel, so most of you have an idea of what I play right now. But we're going to keep this pretty minimalistic. I'm going to throw something up for you guys to watch while I talk. So, you know, do the whole like get a drink, snack, or just put this on in the background, whatnot. And then in the end, maybe we can, maybe you can do a video response, or you can do some comments of your own as to how your gaming preferences have changed. So right out of the gate, Pete mentioned 2 or 3 big genres, and honestly, I'm almost in the same exact boat, and we'll talk about probably the biggest offender right off the bat, and that's first-person shooters. I think if you were gaming between the PS2 and somewhat the PS1, but the PS2, PS3, Xbox 360, and now into the PS4 and Xbox One, you have probably played some number of first-person shooters. Obviously, the big one on Microsoft's side is Halo, and in general is something like Call of Duty, though more games have come out like Battlefield, Overwatch, other stuff like that. I don't know what all is first-person shooters, so I'm not going to sit here and name off games, but basically these were a big part of my youth, and I didn't really realize it until I started reflecting for this video. As young as GoldenEye on the N64, I was playing first-person shooters. Now, how much of that was because my cousins also liked playing GoldenEye, so we would have 4-player, death matches and 2v2s and stuff like that. How much of that was watching my dad play games like Turok on the N64, or even in high school playing like Counter-Strike with my friends. And then the biggest offender of this for me was probably Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I never really go to bat for the Call of Duty games, but I do for the Modern Warfares. Like, I played Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, and Black Ops, and I actually did enjoy my time with those. I actually beat the campaign for all 3 of those games. I don't know if I beat it for Modern Warfare 3, but for Black Ops and Modern Warfare 2, I actually beat the campaign for those games. I actually did really enjoy them. And the zombies, and I can't remember what it's called in Modern Warfare 3, because it's not zombies, it's just like a survival thing. I actually did enjoy those. I would play those single player even, but the big deal for me, as I mentioned in the other video, my collecting origin story, is playing games with my cousin up in Michigan. I was 10 hours away, several states away. He was up in Michigan, and we would play Call of Duty like all summer long. He would let me join him and his friends in search and destroy and team deathmatch and stuff like that, and that's what I did. And then I had no interest in Borderlands because I wasn't a big first-person shooter guy at the time. But then I bought Borderlands to play with them, and me and his friends beat the entire Borderlands campaign. To this day, it's the only full-fledged game I have every achievement for, not counting DLC. But I have 1,000 gamer score for Borderlands, and Borderlands is a game I bought simply to play with my cousin. Sorry, I don't. One of my apps on the computer bugged out, and I don't know. We just moved on. Borderlands is a game I bought simply to play with my cousin. He was the one hyping it up. I didn't know what it was about at all. I just remember being in the Walmart and him being like, "I'm getting this game, I think for his birthday or something like that." So I had to ask my mom, like, "Can I get this game to play with him?" So we did. I bought that game and I played it with him, and I fell in love with that game, it was super uncharacteristic of anything I was playing at the time. But I got excited for Borderlands 2, and then my cousin, who was the big Borderlands 1 fan, he was talking about how 2 and the prequel just didn't have the same magic for him, and I played those games single player. Single player, I beat the prequel single player, which was just insane. I haven't got around to Borderlands 3, but it's one of my goals to pick up during like Black Friday of this year or something like that. If I can get it for sub 20, which I should be able to. I can probably get a pre-owned for about that much. I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but it is a game, a genre that I've grown out of, hence why high school me, I bought the first 3 Borderlands basically when they came out, and I didn't even really get too excited for Borderlands 3. I am, and I just am not at the same time. So first person shooters, I don't even remember the last first person shooter. Okay, Bioshock. Bioshock is another point of, I was getting grappled in. I had Halo under my belt, which I played Halo 2. I enjoyed Halo 2. And Halo 3, me and my brother actually beat on the hardest difficulty in co-op. So again, I just have memories tied to first-person shooters that I did not think I had until I started reflecting for this. Bioshock is one of my favorite non-Nintendo franchise. Me and my brother beat Halo 3 on the hardest difficulty. Me and my cousin on co-op with his friends with beat Borderlands and Modern Warfare 2, the online play. I was just like, wow. And I really enjoyed the old school Dooms and Wolfenstein, actually. A little bit Duke Nukem, but I never got to play Duke Nukem too much. So and GoldenEye as a kid, I was like, wow, I have played more. Now that's still nothing compared to what probably most gamers play these days. But the last first-person shooter that I played with the intent of beating may just be Bioshock, playing it here and there for the channel. I'm sitting here honestly trying to think of the last first-person shooter that got me excited. And I can't name one. I can't name another first-person shooter coming out that's getting me excited. I think Resident Evil with 7 and maybe 8 switched to first-person shooter. So I guess them. But outside of that, unless a new Bioshock comes out, it's really Resident Evil and Borderlands. That's the only thing I'm even remotely interested in from a first-person shooter standpoint. So, yeah, I just don't play first-person shooters at all anymore. They've been weeded out almost entirely. Now, I have gone back and bought some. Like Far Cry. I want to play Far Cry 4. I own that game. I just haven't got around to it because it's not the highest priority on the back stock, you know. So that first person shooters is probably the biggest when I think about the emotions and the nostalgia and the memory connected with that genre, that I honestly just don't even touch it anymore outside to play Borderlands and Bioshock, which is crazy. It's crazy. I never considered myself a first person shooter homer, however you want to say that. But it's weird reflecting on it, man. So next up is fighters. I enjoyed these just a lot more as a kid. And I think the main contributor to that is Super Smash Brothers. Now I know that's kind of like a cartoon arcadey kind of fighting game, and not like I don't want to say a super serious, because there's obviously people who are really committed to Super Smash Brothers, but you get what I'm saying. But I loved the first one when it came out. When the GameCube came out and Melee came out, it was just bigger and better in every way imaginable. The story mode was insane. The roster was huge. There were way more like stuff to do other than just the fights. So when Brawl came out on the Wii, that was probably, I didn't play the Wii for anything outside of Super Mario Galaxy and Smash Brothers. If I'm being honest with you guys, I started a YouTube channel. Whoa, suicidal phone. My phone likes to just throw itself off of shelves. Brawl, I actually started a YouTube channel just to play Smash Brothers back in the day, like 2008, 2009. If I can, I'll throw up some footage of an old gaming channel, not the one you're watching now, but an old gaming channel where I actually started a channel just to play Smash Brothers. I loved Smash Brothers, and honestly, if I do a video called Most Anticipated Games, Smash Brothers Wii U would score very, very high, just to tell you guys. And I remember watching when Nintendo put out the 100 things you could do in Smash Brothers Wii U. It was like an hour long. I watched it like once a day because I was just infatuated with it. And then I bought a Switch with the release of Smash Brothers. I mean, I passed on Breath of the Wild since I had it on the Wii U. I passed on Odyssey for reasons we'll get into in a minute. And the game that finally got me to buy my Switch was Smash Brothers Ultimate. And while I loved it, it was weird playing it because part of me was like, God, if this had come out when the Wii U one came out, this might be my favorite game of all time. But it just came out at a time when I was getting out of fighting games. Now, I mostly played Smash Brothers, which is why I don't have this above first-person shooters. But I did play Mortal Kombat Alliance or Deception or something like that on the PS2. It's one that actually had like a 3D story to it. I played that game and I loved that game, and I tried to get good at the combos. I played Injustice with friends, the DC superhero game. I played that with friends all the time when we would go over to their house. And in my adult years, I just don't get excited for any fighting games whatsoever. I mean, I'll probably continue to pick up the Smash Brothers games as they come out, but I really wanted J Starters, whatever the anime PS3 game is, and I just haven't brought myself to pull the trigger. I probably will because I love those anime characters so much, but like I've bought Naruto fighting games, I've bought One Piece fighting games, and they just haven't stuck with me. It's very weird. I get these fighting games and I get excited for them, and at the end of the day, they just don't end up holding my attention, even though I know the characters. And I used to play Street Fighter with my cousin, a different cousin, but yeah, I used to play Street Fighter all the time. I don't remember which one, a newer-ish one. I think maybe like PS2. If I don't know, it was my cousin, so I don't know. But just nothing has really reached out and grabbed me. Sorry about that. My throat is just killing me. Very weird. Okay. I'm not gonna dwell too much on fighting games. I was never the biggest fighting fan, but I just don't get super excited for them anymore. I think if they did another J Starters, I think they did one for the PS4. So if a PS5 release came out a couple years from now, I would probably give that a go. I would give fighting games a chance, which is the important thing to remember. But I just can't say I play a lot outside of Ultimate to even I don't know. Like, I would like to see another PlayStation All Stars because I just feel like that series never found its groove. I've never played them, but if it did find its groove, I feel like we would still be getting them. But that's really it as far as genres that I just don't play anymore. He mentioned how he fell out of racing games but was getting back into, like, he was relearning to love racing games. He was always a kart racer, which I don't want to ruin the video. I just want to compare our trajectories because I found me and Pete on a similar trajectory. Especially when you talk about first person shooters. He was saying like he wants to give it a new go with the PS5 coming out, and I'm the same way. Like Halo Infinity looks interesting to me. I haven't played a Halo game since Halo 3, but it at least looks interesting. The new Doom at least looks interesting. I'm actually playing Doom right now. I forgot to mention that. I'm playing Doom on the Xbox One, and I'm enjoying it so far. But is that just because I like Doom, or I just don't know. Um, but racing games, I wouldn't say I've fallen out of. I I was really big into the Mario Kart series, still am. Jessica and I will still play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So I can't say I've fallen out of those. Um, I just, I'm just not. What am I even trying to say? That was one of the games he talked about falling out of love and getting back into. And I guess I'll segue into that. The genre that I fell out of love with and then got back in love with it is 3D platformers. So I think for Pete, that never went away. I think he's always been a 3D platformer fan. Super Mario 64 was my favorite game growing up until I played Galaxy. And then Galaxy was my favorite game growing up. But um it waned because of the 360. I mean, there was no 3D platformers on the 360, or almost none. If you have a good Xbox 360 platform game, please recommend it because everyone just says Sonic, and I'm not the biggest Sonic fan. I think I would play the ones on the 360 just to see what it was like. The 2D Sonic games never resonated with me, which is why, what was it, Generations or something like that on the 360 would be a bag of mixed goods, I think, for me personally. But yeah, if you can come up with a good 360 platformer game, definitely let me know below. I know the Xbox One got Rare Replay, so there's that. But I was playing so many first person shooters that I just stopped playing for the most part. These 3D platformers, I would say between the years of 2010 and 2013, I didn't play a single platformer unless I was replaying Galaxy or something to that effect. They didn't exist. I remember getting so excited for Fez, I think it was, because it looked like a 3D platformer, or Battle Block Theater because it looked like a 3D platformer. At the end of the day, they're not really 3D platformers, but they were the closest thing. So when I launched this channel, I don't know if I ever had 3D platformers being the kind of the epicenter of the channel. Like I barely knew what a Hat in Time was. I knew I wanted to do Super Mario 64 and Galaxy, but now we've done Ukulele, we've done a Hat in Time. I've streamed Poi. I have many more 3D platformers to introduce to the channel and bring to the channel. So I'm definitely 3D platformers are now my bread and butter, and it's tough to see me giving up on those because it's a genre that translates so well to kids that when I become a dad and my gaming time is a lot more dependent on my kids. Like my brothers, I have little brothers that already like watching me play Odyssey, so I think it'll be a genre that translates very well into the future of being a dad with limited gaming time. I think 3D platformers will just be something that will stick around. So the next genre that I play a lot of is just third person games. I don't know why, but I tend to it it, it transcends spectrums, like the Resident Evil games being third person survival horror. Like I don't really play survival horror, but I dig the Resident Evil series. Jack and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank being again that kind of 3D platformer, not necessarily collectathons. I guess Jack and Daxter is more so collectathon, but they're just adventure games, and I really enjoy those. Tomb Raider and Uncharted. third person, and I really enjoy them. It's really interesting for me to try to say third person blank shooter, platformer, whatever, because I just play a lot of 3D game or third person games, not 3D, of course. Um, it's just I don't know why. It's just the Grand Theft Auto, third person, really good. Super Mario Galaxy, third person, really good. It's not necessarily a genre. It's just I play a lot of third person games. Just interestingly enough, it's just a little factoid. Now, the biggest genre that's kind of I didn't write it off. I just never could connect with a 2D platforming game. I used to play Yoshi's Island on the Game Boy Advance, and I loved that game. And I thought, oh, I'd probably play all these 2D side-scrolling games. And I tried the original Super Mario Brothers. There was no connection there. I tried Super Mario World, and while I love the aesthetics, I love that you got to play with Yoshi. I love the music. The level design was cool. Still was not my cup of tea. Just I don't know if I just wasn't good at it or if it just didn't click with me. But for one reason or another, never beat that game. Uh, the Mega Man games. I've tried the Mega Man games, and honestly, I can't really play one up until Legends, the 3D or the third person Mega Man game or 3D, however you want to say it. I guess it's a little of both. Um, just all these 2D games never resonated with me. I enjoyed the Donkey Kong games, but I could never get into them. And then on the Wii U, they released Yoshi. And I fell in love with that game. Jessica and I beat that game in co-op. We didn't quite 100% it because some of the later stuff is just really hard. But that was one of the first games that we did a co-op play of. Not on the channel. This was when the channel was in its inception, very early days of the channel. We did not have a way of recording the Wii U. And yeah, I just fell in love with that game. And then let's see. I think Shantae was next. I love Shantae on the Wii U. A little 2D side scroller, modern graphics like Yoshi, where it's not 8-bit or 16-bit. It's full fledged new game, but it's still side scrolling. Love that game. And then one of the biggest culprits for making me actually like old school 2D side scrollers was Shovel Knight. I recently picked up Shovel Knight on the Wii U. It still keeps that bit style graphics. And I fell in love with that game. I thought I'm gonna pop this in. It's gonna be way too hard. It's gonna kick my butt. But no, I'm at the final boss. I haven't beat it yet because I'm going through and collecting last of the notes and stuff like that. And then like the Wii U basically got a free update, so I think I have the whole treasure trove. I'm not 100% sure. I could be talking out of my butt here, but Shovel Knight is just it put 2D side scrollers on the map for me as this could be really fun. I was playing Super Metroid and I played through a good bit of Super Metroid and it's tough. Like the boss fights are hard and the world is really confusing. I think it's very easy to get lost in that game. But Shovel Knight was a bit more linear in scope. You go to level at 1, you go to level 2, you go to level 3, and then you can have fun inside the levels, of course. But with Super Metroid, I would just keep getting lost. I had to have a guide pulled up, and maybe that's just because I don't play 2D side scrollers a lot, so that was just foreign to me. But Shovel Knight, and I feel like there's another one that I've played recently. But either way, these games are starting to put 2D side scrollers on the map. Like I want to play the old school Donkey Kong games, both on the Game Boy and the Super Nintendo, because I have a lot of fun with those. I want to go back and try to play some of the Mario games, uh, but we'll see. I've just never resonated with the Mario ones personally. But yeah, 2D side scrollers is now a genre that I'm paying attention to, whereas before it was like, oh, it's cool. I will gladly commend the indie developers for getting their games out. I just don't necessarily have an affinity for any of them. Whereas now I'll actually look at a 2D side scroller and see if it interests me. Now, one I'm sure a lot of people are interested in is RPGs. And here's the crazy thing. Outside of Pokemon, I've never really gotten to an RPG. I I mean, if you want to consider Zelda an RPG, which I know a lot of people don't, I don't blame you. It's like American style RPGs. Fable, Fallout, and I think that's it. Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, and the Fable trilogy. I mean, I guess if you want to consider Borderlands an RPG, like it's an RPG. Those are really the only RPGs I've gotten into. I have tried Xenoblade. I'm actually playing through both the Switch, like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I guess is what it's called. I don't even remember. And Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U. And I'm enjoying them enough. The biggest problem isn't that I don't like RPGs, it's that they never hold my attention. I got 10 hours into Final Fantasy X. And honestly, what killed it is I'm at a part where I keep dying. And that's super annoying. I got probably 15 or so hours into Final Fantasy 13. And I don't hate it. The game is gorgeous. The characters are okay. The combat is alright. But it's just not anything that holds my attention. Like, the game that could probably hold my attention the most would be Final Fantasy 15. I know some people crap on that game, but it's like, whatever. It's actually a pretty fun game. Um, it just needed an update. My Xbox One didn't have storage or something like that. It got to a point where I wanted to play it, but my Xbox One was like, I'm not letting you play this. And I was like, oh. And now I just haven't had that fire. I'm playing Final Fantasy 5 on the PS1. For those of you that don't know, it never got localized during the Super Nintendo era, but through something called like Final Fantasy Anthologies or something like that, they ported over 5 and 6 in one collection. And I'm playing 5 that way, and it's in danger of losing my interest because it's so cryptic. Like, there's literally not any hints at all in that game. And you already have access to a boat in like 3 or 4 places to go, and they all seem like dead ends, and it's just super cryptic. And I'm like I want to see it through because the job and ability mixing match system seems super interesting, and the characters seem fine right now, so I want to keep giving it a go. But I was playing it yesterday for like 30 minutes, and I was doing stuff, but I didn't feel like I was accomplishing anything, which is a dangerous mindset for a gamer to have. We don't feel like we're accomplishing something, then it's like we could be playing anything else, you know? So we'll see. There's just not been kind of a more JRPG style game to hold my interest outside of Final Fantasy 15. That would be a game I would actually want to go and see it through the end. I just need that spark again, because I had the spark. My Xbox One would not let me play it, and now I just don't have the spark to sit down and play it again. But I do eventually want to get around to beating it. Outside of that, Dragon Quest 11. Golly, I want that on the Switch so bad. It looks so good. I've never played. I didn't beat Dragon Quest 1. I think at the time it was called Dragon Warrior 1, but or just Dragon Warrior. But I haven't played a single Dragon Warrior game from the first one ever. Like, I've just played the first one. I think I played 2 on my phone a little bit, but my point is 11 looks really good, and I've never even really played the Dragon Quest games. So I'm excited to play that, but it's really just been Pokemon as far as RPGs go, and Fallout. I'm sitting here trying to think. Like, I've never played the Persona games. They don't look. Persona looks like a game I would actually like to watch someone who's passionate about Persona play, not a game I actually want to sit down and play myself. Never really played the Tales of games. I think what are even the big RPG games. But either way, RPGs, it's not a system that I'm falling, or it's not a genre that I'm falling out of, because quite frankly, I was never able to get into RPGs. I know that sounds super weird, but they're so long and so grinding and so tedious that I never actually sit through them. A lot of adult gamers are like, I just don't have the time for it. I'm like, they just don't hold my attention long enough. I love everything about them, the open world and exploring and the characters, but I've been able to get into Outer Worlds and Fallout a lot easier, and I don't know if that's because the grinding doesn't feel like such a chore, or if I just like American RPGs better. I don't know, because every time I get excited for an RPG, it ends up being a lot of the same thing. Whereas in Fallout or the Outer Worlds, you get a whole host of, like, your choices actually matter. And you can actually go off the rails. With JRPGs, I feel like they put so much emphasis on the story, they don't want you to mess up the story. They want you to come in, assume your role, and beat the game. Now, I'm sure there's plenty of JRPGs that break that mold. I just don't know them. Because my time with Final Fantasy has taught me that they don't want you deviating from the path. They want you can customize your character. That's where your freedom comes in. What class do you want them to be? What armor or weapons do you want them to have? But as far as your choices in the world and the impact that makes, that's all very scripted. So I'm sure there's RPGs that break that mold, I'm sure, but I just don't know them. Now, I think that's all the big genres I wanted to talk about. RPGs has kind of been like hit or miss with me. First person shooters, I've almost fallen completely out of love with. Fighting games, I don't play nearly as casual as I used to. I used to love playing not Super, but Smash Brothers. I guess it is Super Smash Brothers. Super Smash Brothers on the Wii. I used to love playing that. Now I don't really play much Smash Brothers at all. It's kind of sad. 3D platformers are now my bread and butter. 2D platformers are probably the genre I'm giving the most chance to now. He said puzzle games, but outside of Tetris, I've never really played puzzle games. So, third person games as a whole, it's just a solid genre. So, I'm trying to think. I've never played horror. I've never played horror outside of Resident Evil. So I can't even speak on the genre. Any other genres I'm forgetting about? Of course, but I can't think of any, you know. I play so much third person or 3D platformers that I'm sitting here struggling to even think of other genres. But if I can't name it, I probably haven't played too much into it at all. So that's kind of been my thought on how my taste in games have changed, and what genres I'm playing a lot of now, what genres I'm not really touching right now, and so on and so forth. This was a pretty lengthy video. I think we're probably hitting the 30-minute marker now. So if you did manage to sit through all this, I appreciate it. And if you want to tell me what are some genres that you enjoyed, what are some genres that you've fallen out of, why is that? And again, I cannot recommend Pete's videos enough if you're into just it's mature in that he's not sitting there hollering and yelling. I know my fan base is kind of split down the middle. I have a lot of young viewers and I have some older viewers, and I've heard people say that one thing they like about this channel is that, especially when it's just me, like, there's not a lot of yelling and hollering. Sometimes I do get a little hyper when I record with Jessica, I'm not gonna lie. We just kind of feed off each other differently. But when I'm by myself, it's a lot of videos like this, you know. I'm not just like, oh, pro gamer and all that good stuff. So Pete is a lot that same way. He's very calm, very collected, very mellow, and is passionate about what he's talking about. So if you value passion and knowledge and that more so than flashy jump cuts and edits and hollering, then I think you will really enjoy Pete's videos. And if not, you probably won't get as much out of them, but they're still just, I like them a lot. If you're into the talking head style video, he's probably one of the best to do it. So that's my recommendation. I'm gonna probably do more videos like this because every time he puts out a video, I typically have something to say about it. It's typically a video that I want to do a video response of. I want to give my thoughts on the matter. I just watched his video last night, so sure, I probably could have wrote down some notes or whatnot, but I still talked 30 minutes off the cusp about genres that I've either played or haven't played or want to play more of, and so just don't be surprised if you see more stuff like this, because this is what I'm watching from Metal Jesus or Hancock or, you know, some of these polarizing YouTube channels. I know people have opinions about these guys, but it's like what they're saying is still interesting, and what they're saying still provokes discussion, regardless of what you think about these YouTubers. They put out a topic, and it's typically pretty interesting to think about or reflect on. So this is kind of a video response to Pete's um, genres that he does and doesn't play anymore. So that's kind of it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll just see you guys in the next video you click on. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day.